I was watching my 8-year-old son Ethan moonwalk across our living room when my phone buzzed, and the message that appeared on my screen made my blood run cold. Your little freak son is not welcome at my daughter's wedding tomorrow. She already deals with that creature enough when babysitting. Don't bring him. I mean it. It was from Linda, the bride's mother. And before I could angle my phone away, Ethan climbed up next to me on the couch. His eyes scanned the words. His face crumpled. I'm a creature, he whispered. In that moment, something inside me shattered. Ethan had been looking forward to this wedding for weeks. My sister Rachel was his favorite person in the world. At 8 years old and on the autism spectrum, Ethan didn't get many chances to go to big family events, but this one was different. He had been practicing his dance moves every night in the mirror, his moonwalk, his spins, just so he could show Aunt Rachel. Now, a single text threatened to destroy all of that. Tears rolled silently down his cheeks. Not a tantrum, not a cry for attention, just heartbreak. I thought Aunt Rachel loved me, he said, his voice so small it barely carried. She does love you. I told him quickly, stroking his hair. This isn't Rachel. This is Linda. She's wrong. But Linda wasn't finished. Another text buzzed in. Security has your names. He's not on the guest list. If you show up, they'll remove you both. Ethan's eyes widened. Security? Like the police? To keep me out? His whole little body shook. I snapped back a reply with shaking hands. Rachel loves him. She'll be heartbroken if he's not there. Linda's answer came instantly. It's my money. My rules. That was it. I pulled Ethan into my lap and held him as he sobbed. But deep inside, a stubborn fire lit up. Nobody was going to tell my son he didn't deserve love. Listen to me, I whispered, lifting his chin so he'd meet my eyes. We are going to that wedding. Rachel invited us, and that's what matters. Not Linda. You hear me? Ethan sniffled, hesitated. But what about the security guards? I forced a smile. Then we'll make such a scene that Aunt Rachel will have to come get us herself. For the first time that night, I saw a flicker of a smile. Really? Now, how about we go shopping for the coolest wedding outfit ever? That was all it took. His tears dried, his eyes lit up, and he bolted for his sneakers. Can I get something with dinosaurs? Dinosaur everything if you want. The next morning, Ethan practically skipped into the suit store. The sales clerk, a kind woman in her 40s, crouched to his level and asked what look he was going for. Ethan squared his shoulders. I want something that will make Linda mad. The clerk chuckled. Then let's make you unforgettable. She picked out suspenders, shiny shoes, and, when she noticed Ethan's fascination with the accessories rack, a pair of neon green dinosaur sunglasses. His jaw dropped. Dad, dinosaur glasses. Can I? I nodded without hesitation. If Linda thought she could intimidate us out of showing up, she was about to be in for the shock of her life. My phone buzzed again. Another message from Linda. Don't test me. Security will remove you both. The clerk must have seen my face harden, because she added another touch, bright dinosaur suspenders. Ethan cheered so loud half the store turned to look. Later that day, at a card shop, he picked the biggest glitter bomb card he could find. He covered it in dinosaur stickers and wrote in huge letters, I love you, Aunt Rachel. By that evening, he was practically bouncing with excitement. He had his full look, suit, suspenders, dinosaur glasses, temporary dragon tattoos on both arms. Do I look annoying? He asked, posing in front of the mirror. I grinned. You look spectacularly annoying. Linda won't know what hit her. Still, a shadow of doubt crept over him as we packed his flowers, brightly clashing wild blooms he'd picked from the garden, wrapped in neon pink paper towels. Dad, what if they really don't let us in? I knelt down. Then we make enough noise for the whole city to hear. You ready for that? Ethan adjusted his dinosaur glasses with determination. I'll yell as loud as I can. Aunt Rachel, it's me. Ethan, the one Linda hates. He laughed at his own practice yell, but I could tell he was nervous. And honestly, so was I. But I wasn't going to let him see it. Tomorrow, Linda would find out just how wrong she was about my son. The morning of the wedding, Ethan strutted around our kitchen like he was already on a runway. Suit pressed, suspenders snapping against his little shoulders, dinosaur glasses glowing neon green under the light. He held the glitter bomb card to his chest like it was a weapon. Dad, he said as we walked to the car, Linda's going to be so embarrassed. That's the plan, buddy. But when we pulled up to the venue, a grand brick estate outside Charleston. I felt my stomach clench. Ethan clutched my hand tighter, his other holding the wildflower bouquet wrapped in neon pink paper towels. His dragon tattoos flexed on his skinny arms like armor. At the entrance, my cousin Grace appeared, waving us through with a grin. "You're good. Linda's already drunk at the bar. Just go inside." Relief rushed through me. We slipped past the front without trouble and entered the main hall. The chandeliers glowed, the string quartet played softly, and for a moment, everything felt almost normal. Then Linda spotted us. Her face twisted the second her eyes locked on Ethan's dinosaur glasses. She stood up so fast her chair screeched across the floor. Her heels wobbled as she power-walked toward us, rage practically dripping from her pores. Ethan didn't wait. His voice rang out across the entire venue, high-pitched and clear. "Aunt Rachel, it's me, Ethan, the one Linda hates." The music stopped. Heads turned. Rachel, standing in her white gown, spun around, and when she saw Ethan, she squealed so loud half the guests laughed. "Ethan, my baby." She lifted her dress and ran across the room, scooping him up before Linda could reach us. "Look at you. Dinosaur glasses, suspenders. You look incredible." Ethan thrust his bouquet into her arms. "I brought you ugly flowers. Linda hates them." Rachel burst out laughing, hugging him even tighter. "They're perfect." Linda finally caught up, seething. "I specifically said." Rachel cut her off, her voice sharp. "Mom, did you try to ban my nephew?" Linda's voice cracked. "He's not your nephew. He's family," Rachel said firmly, clutching Ethan to her chest. "And his dinosaur glasses are amazing." Gasps rippled through the room. That's when Grandma Helen appeared from the crowd, her cane tapping on the floor. "Still gatekeeping weddings, Linda? Some things never change." Linda's face went white. "You weren't invited either." "I was," Grandma shot back. "By Rachel. Unlike you, she actually has a heart." The ceremony started minutes later, and to everyone's surprise, Ethan sat perfectly still. He adjusted his glasses every few minutes, dramatic as if he knew people were watching, and when Rachel and Daniel finally kissed, he shouted, "Finally!" The whole room laughed, except Linda. Her jaw was so tight I thought her teeth might crack. But the reception? That's when everything exploded. Ethan took to the dance floor like it was built for him. He moonwalked straight across the polished wood, dinosaur sunglasses flashing under the lights. Rachel pulled him up for a special dance, announcing, "My favorite person here." Guests cheered. Cousins high-fived him. Even Daniel's family joined in. And that's when Linda lost it. She stormed to the DJ booth, heels clacking like gunshots, and grabbed the microphone. The music cut with a squeal of feedback. Her slurred voice boomed across the speakers. "This child was not invited. He needs to be removed." The room froze. 200 pairs of eyes shifted between Linda holding the mic like a weapon and Ethan standing in the middle of the dance floor, his lip trembling. My blood turned ice cold. His dinosaur glasses slipped down his nose, his whole body starting to shake. "He's a problem," Linda kept ranting. "This is my daughter's special day, and I won't have it ruined by some." Rachel's chair scraped back as she shot to her feet, wedding dress swishing as she sprinted to the DJ booth. "Mother, stop." But Linda yanked the mic higher, out of reach, her voice shrill and venomous. "Everyone needs to know what kind of creature you dragged into this family." Ethan froze in the middle of the floor, rocking back and forth, the way he does when he's terrified. My heart pounded as I shoved through the crowd toward him. But before I could reach him, Grandma Helen was already there. She wrapped her arms around him, whispering loudly enough for nearby tables to hear. "You're perfect, sweetheart. Don't listen to her." The entire room seemed to hold its breath. And that was when Daniel stood up from the head table, his jaw tight as steel, and started walking calmly toward Linda. "Mom," he said evenly into the microphone, "you're drunk. Give it to me." But Linda clutched it tighter, snarling, "It's my money, my wedding, and that thing shouldn't be here." Gasps spread through the crowd. Ethan buried his face in Grandma's shoulder, whispering, "I'm ruining everything again." I finally reached him, pulling him into my arms as his little body shook against me. "No, buddy," I whispered fiercely. "You're not ruining anything. She is." And for the first time, the entire room seemed to realize it too. The room was dead silent except for Linda's voice echoing through the microphone. "That thing shouldn't be here." Her words stabbed the air like knives. Ethan's small body trembled in my arms, his dinosaur glasses crooked on his nose. Before Rachel could grab the mic, someone else moved. Mark, Linda's own husband, stood slowly from his chair. For 20 years I had never seen him look like that. His face was carved in stone, eyes blazing with something heavy and final. "Linda," he said, his voice low but cutting through the silence. "Enough." She spun toward him, wild-eyed. "What? Don't you see? He's ruining everything." Mark shook his head, walking toward her in steady, measured steps. "The only person ruining anything tonight is you." The shockwave of his words rolled across the room. Guests shifted uncomfortably, murmuring. Ethan clutched my shirt, whispering, "Dad, should we leave? I don't want Aunt Rachel's wedding to be sad." But before I could answer, Rachel swept across the floor in her white dress, dropping to her knees right in front of Ethan. Mascara streaked down her cheeks as she cupped his face. "Sweetheart, you are the best part of this whole day. Do you hear me?" Ethan blinked at her, confused. "But Linda said." "Linda is wrong," Rachel said firmly. "You are my favorite nephew. I love your dinosaur glasses, I love your moonwalk, and I love you." The DJ, who had been frozen behind his booth, leaned into his mic with a shaky smile. "All right, folks, let's bring the music back. This one's for Ethan." The opening beats of Michael Jackson filled the hall, and slowly, like sunlight breaking through a storm, people began clapping along. Ethan wiped his nose with his sleeve. His lips quivered, then a tiny smile appeared. "Go on," Grandma Helen whispered. "Show them how it's done." He pushed up his glasses, squared his little shoulders, and moonwalked across the dance floor like nothing had happened. Guests erupted into cheers. Rachel twirled her gown beside him, spinning around like he was the star of the show. Linda screamed over the noise. "This is my wedding. I paid for all of this." She stomped toward the office doors, muttering something about the venue manager. But her voice was drowned out by applause. Ethan was dancing, and for the first time in months, I saw a real joy on his face. Watching him, my chest tightened. Because I remembered another time, years ago, when he was 4. It was at a cousin's birthday party at the bowling alley. Ethan had wanted to sing happy birthday, but his voice cracked and stuttered. The other kids laughed. One boy even called him Robot Boy. Ethan had run to me in tears, saying, "Dad, I shouldn't talk in parties. I ruined them." I remembered the way I'd held him that day, swearing silently that I'd never let anyone make him feel less than he was again. But I hadn't expected it would be family, my own sister's mother-in-law, who would one day be the cruelest of them all. And yet, here he was, spinning in the middle of a wedding hall, laughing as Rachel twirled around him. His little dragon tattoos flexed as he clapped along with the music. The entire room was with him. Everyone except Linda. 5 minutes later, she returned, dragging the venue manager by the sleeve. "These people weren't invited," she shrieked, pointing directly at Ethan. The manager looked at Rachel, at Daniel, at the guests clapping and dancing. His face was pale with awkwardness. "Ma'am, the bride clearly wants them here. This is her event." "No." Linda's voice cracked. "It's my money." That's when Daniel's father stood, holding up his phone. "Actually, Linda, we paid half. Our names are on the contract. Don't forget that." Gasps and murmurs rippled across the room again. Linda's face flushed a furious red. Ethan tugged my sleeve, whispering, "Dad, why does she hate me so much?" I didn't know what to say, but before I could answer, Rachel grabbed the mic from the DJ booth and shouted, "He's not ruining this wedding. You are, Mom." The crowd erupted in cheers, drowning out Linda's sputtering. But then, Linda's voice cut through again, shrill and shaking. "You'll all regret this. Rachel, you're out of the will." Rachel laughed. Actually laughed. "You've been threatening me with that for 15 years. I don't care about your money. I care about my family. My real family." The silence that followed was deafening. And in that silence, something inside me shifted. I realized Linda wasn't just losing this battle. She was losing everyone. And Ethan, standing in the middle of the dance floor, was the proof of it. Linda's shrill voice echoed, "Rachel, you're out of the will." But instead of tears, Rachel threw her head back and laughed. Real, raw laughter that rolled across the room. "Mom, you've been dangling that will over me since I was a teenager. Guess what? I don't care. I don't need your money. I need my family. And Ethan is my family." Guests clapped. Some even whistled. Ethan blinked in surprise, then tugged my sleeve. Dad, people are clapping for me. His eyes were wide behind his dinosaur glasses, like he couldn't believe it. I bent down, whispering, "They don't just like you, buddy. They love you." Linda stood frozen in the middle of the room, jaw slack. And then, slowly, Mark, her husband, walked up beside her. For 20 years, I'd watched him stay quiet in the background, the man who rarely challenged his wife. But tonight, he looked like a man who had finally snapped. He held her purse and coat in one hand. "We're leaving, Linda. Now." Her face twisted. "What? No. They need to leave." She jabbed her finger toward me and Ethan. Mark's voice was low, but everyone heard it. "I've watched you hurt people for 2 decades. You did it to my sister. You did it to my mother. And now you've done it to an 8-year-old boy. I'm done." You could have heard a pin drop. The string lights above buzzed faintly. Even the DJ froze, mouth open. Linda sputtered. "You don't understand. He's autistic, he'll ruin." Mark's voice thundered, louder than I'd ever heard. "The only person ruining anything tonight is you." The crowd gasped. Guests exchanged looks of shock. Even Linda stepped back like she'd been slapped. Ethan clung to me, whispering, "Dad, did he just yell at her?" I squeezed his shoulder. "Yeah, he did." Linda's eyes darted, desperate for allies. But even her own sisters shook their heads at her. "You've gone too far this time, Linda," one of them called out. Rachel, still in her gown, took Ethan's hand. "Sweetheart, will you dance with me again?" His lip trembled. But Linda said, "Linda is wrong." Rachel cut in, her voice fierce. "You're my favorite person here. Please?" The DJ leaned into his mic, recovering himself. "All right, everyone, let's get this party started again. This one's for Ethan." The opening notes blasted through the speakers, and Rachel twirled Ethan across the dance floor. Guests cheered, clapping to the beat. Ethan's grin returned, his little dragon tattoos flashing under the lights as he moonwalked with all the confidence in the world. But then, something unbelievable happened. As Rachel spun, the air conditioning vents above rattled. Suddenly, sparkles drifted down like shimmering snow. Glitter filled the air, catching in the chandeliers, clinging to gowns, making the entire hall glitter like a disco ball. Ethan's mouth dropped open. "Dad, I forgot. I put glitter in the vents when we came in." Instead of being angry, the crowd erupted in laughter and cheers. Someone shouted, "This is magical." Rachel twirled in the sparkles, her white dress glowing like starlight. Daniel grabbed the microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, this magic is brought to you by my new nephew, Ethan." The crowd roared. Guests danced under the glitter rain, pointing phones to record the moment. Ethan pushed up his glasses proudly, his face glowing with pride. Linda tried one last desperate attempt, dragging the exhausted venue manager back. "This is against the law," she shrieked. The manager looked around, at Rachel in her gown, at Ethan laughing in the glitter, at 200 guests dancing. He shook his head. "Ma'am, the bride clearly wants them here. This is her wedding." Linda's face turned purple. "You're all going to regret this." But Mark was already leading her toward the door, coat over his arm. "No, Linda, you're the one who's going to regret it." As the door slammed behind them, the music swelled. Grandma Helen raised her glass high. "To Ethan, the best dancer at this wedding." "To Ethan," the entire room echoed, lifting their glasses. Ethan covered his face in my shoulder, overwhelmed by the noise, but smiling so wide it nearly split his cheeks. "Dad, everyone likes me." I hugged him tighter than ever. "They don't just like you, Ethan. They love you, just the way you are." And in that glitter-soaked moment, I realized Linda had tried to break him. But instead, she had given him the chance to shine. By the time the last song ended, Ethan had fallen asleep in my lap, still wearing his dinosaur glasses, glitter tangled in his hair. Rachel and Daniel came over, her gown sparkling under the lights. She brushed Ethan's curls gently. "Thank you," she whispered, "for bringing him anyway, for fighting for him. My mom's stolen so much joy from my life, but not anymore." Daniel added, "We want Ethan at every family gathering, every holiday, every birthday, and Linda won't be there to stop it." I swallowed hard, something inside me loosening, like an old wound finally healing. As I carried Ethan out to the car, the parking helper asked, "That your boy who did the moonwalk?" "He was amazing." Buckle clicks. Small snores. a crooked pair of glasses sliding down his nose. On the way home, my phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Photos, videos, messages from family, all showing Ethan dancing, laughing, being loved. Every caption said the same thing. Your son is wonderful. The next morning, Ethan stumbled into the kitchen wearing his dinosaur glasses before his pajamas were even buttoned. Dad, he said through a mouthful of cereal. Can we go to more weddings? But only ones where they want me there. Not where I'm a creature. I leaned across the table, voice firm. You're never a creature. You're Ethan. You're perfect. He thought for a second, spoon hovering. Linda thought I was a creature. Linda was wrong about a lot of things, I said. 2 weeks later, my phone rang. It was Mark, sounding lighter than I'd ever heard him. She signed the papers. I'm filing for divorce. Linda's moving to Florida to stay with her sister. I hesitated. Are you okay? Better than I have in years, he said. I'm reconnecting with my own family. She made me cut them off a long time ago. And listen, I set up a college fund for Ethan. That boy showed more courage in one night than most adults ever do. He deserves every opportunity. I tried to argue, but Mark wouldn't hear it. Your boy saved me, he said softly. He showed me what I'd been ignoring for 20 years. A few weeks later, Rachel called with news that sent Ethan bouncing around the living room. I'm pregnant, she squealed through the phone. And guess what we'll name the baby, if it's a boy? What? Ethan pressed his face to the phone, glasses sliding. Ethan, Rachel said. After the bravest kid I know. His mouth dropped open. Really? A baby named after me? Rachel laughed. Really? You showed me what family means. I want my child to grow up just as brave as you. Ethan spun around the living room, arms flapping with pure joy. At school, his class assignment was to present an important event in his life. He stood at the front, adjusting his glasses, voice shaking at first but growing stronger. My great-aunt tried to ban me from a wedding because I'm autistic, he told the room. But I went anyway, and everyone else wanted me there. Sometimes one mean person doesn't speak for everyone. His teacher had tears in her eyes. That was incredibly brave, Ethan. Class, what can we learn from his story? A girl raised her hand. That being different doesn't mean being wrong. Exactly, the teacher said. For the first time ever, Ethan sat down at his desk with his head high. 3 months later, Christmas at Rachel and Daniel's new house was filled with music, food, and laughter. Grandma Helen told me quietly, remember when Linda said he'd ruin everything? She was wrong about everything. Ethan taught his cousins how to moonwalk across the hardwood floor. Rachel, now visibly pregnant, joined in while Daniel hovered nervously nearby. Mark was there too, lighter, happier. He watched Ethan spin in the glittering lights and said to me, the saddest part is Linda's alone in Florida. She chose her pride over her family. That night, tucking Ethan into bed, he asked, Dad, do you think Linda is sad? Probably, I admitted. I'm not glad she's sad, he said carefully. But I'm glad she can't make other people sad anymore. I smiled. That's a good way to think about it. He placed his dinosaur glasses on the nightstand, next to 3 more pairs in different colors. Dad, thank you for not letting her make me think I was wrong. You were never wrong, Ethan. You're exactly who you're supposed to be. He thought for a long moment, then grinned. Next time someone calls me a creature, I'll say, no, I'm a dinosaur, and put on my glasses. I laughed, standing in the doorway. That's perfect. And it was. Because Linda had tried to break him. But instead, she gave him the chance to discover his strength. He wasn't a creature. He wasn't a problem. He wasn't any of the things she tried to call him. He was Ethan. And that was more than enough.